Yo,
Hey,
what's
nothing
going
much,
on,
bro.
man?
How you doing?
Dude, today I hit my first like 50K, sorry, 50% close rate. So that's
Nice.
fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Uh, then it would be like my first 5K in commission. It's like my goal is to
Mhm.
hit 7K this month because last month it was a little bit lower. So I'm
Okay.
going full ham. But my question is this. So how do
Yep.
I know when to do like want to focus more on the problem, want to focus more on the consequence or like more solution awareness questions. Because I noticed with some people that are more like solution aware, that they've tried different things, but they're just looking for a really good solution. You don't really need to just go like really ham into the actual consequence, but more figure out like, hey, this, what is the problem? What do they really need to solve this problem? And like very surface level goal. So like, how can I navigate it? Because I feel like if I do the consequence, it just pisses them off in a way. It's like they've just been on a lot of calls, so they feel it, you know?
Yeah. Well, part of it, man, is if it should come across like conversationally as possible. So if they are feeling like you're doing something, then a lot of it is just going to come down to the delivery and how you're actually going about the questions. But in terms of, you just got to listen to what they're saying and try to understand like what really motivates this person. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like what's the motivation? What does this person want? What are their driving factors? And if you can distill that, that's really going to pretty much just like outline like where you take the conversation. And if it's somebody who is very much forward focused, for example, they're really looking to get a goal, it's like why do they want to get to that goal? Like why is that important? Like it's about that being the consequence rather than what if they don't figure out this one unique mechanism. You get what I'm saying?
Mm. So you're saying kind of like in general, I should be following the same exact process with every single lead in terms of like, hey, it's like, okay, here's the goal, what's the problem, criteria, consequence.
Yeah, well, I'm saying you follow like the basic outline, but it
Mhm.
morphs to the person who you're talking to. So you're going to emphasize different points. You're going to take longer on certain points when it comes to what drives this person. So it's just really about making sure you're present in the conversation and you're actually there. Like that's what happens oftentimes when you feel a disconnect is because you did something in one way or another that's shown that they're in a sales process and you're not really there. You're not present. You get what I'm saying? But if you're truly
Mhm.
like talking to them, truly curious in them and having a genuine conversation, you shouldn't be getting like a lot of pushback or anything along those lines. And if you do, you should have the conviction to overcome it and still get what you need out of the conversation.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like I can overcome it. It's just the question of like when should I focus more on one part or like I can't now it's becoming more of a feeling.
Yeah.
So the ones that are actively out there like looking for solutions, then I do like a mini consequence, but it usually just comes in the conversation. But it's just like how can I find them the exact solution that they need, which I ask a lot about the criteria. Like I just had a call
Yeah.
and she gave me like a 10 step criteria of like, okay, this is the exact thing I needed, pitch it exactly that. And
Yeah.
but looking for different options. So
Well,
um,
you'll get some people who hop on or just like write more into the buying pocket. It's just going to be a little bit of a feeling, but I would be careful of being lulled to sleep with some of those guys because again, they're going to tell you like they're going to try to act very logical about it. Then they get to the end and like, what are they going to tell you? If we didn't really hit their true pain points or true motivations, well, it sounds good. I just need to continue to look around, right? So don't be lulled to sleep. There are some people you can start to notice patterns, and you might want to try to start taking shortcuts. I would just advise against it because oftentimes uh, those shortcuts will bite you in the ass.
mhm. Then is it just more of like a feeling then that I uh, figure it out, or is there like a guideline that I can follow when to take
So
shortcut, not
I would advise against taking shortcuts because, like, how many sales calls have you taken?
in total?
Yeah.
Like this offer, I think it's close to 340,
Okay.
50.
Okay. So it's like when you like are 5x at, then like then you can start to maybe see if you can't like take shortcuts. I would just say I would always advise, especially when you're really getting into it and you're like, okay, we need to get to like our first 10K per month, like not taking shortcuts because oftentimes you just don't have the experience to take those shortcuts.
Right.
And then it's like you're gonna have to dig yourself out of a hole that you probably shouldn't have just put yourself into to begin with. So
Hmm.
again, the biggest thing when you are talking to people and everyone's going to be different is just genuinely be curious about the other person and just go where the conversation takes you. But you still do need to get somebody's pain, need to get their
Sure.
motivation, their consequence. You
Yeah.
still need all these things.
Hmm. Okay. So I'll hit everything, just not really deep, just depending on the person that I'm speaking with and kind of like how they react to it.
Well, it comes down to like typically what is the archetype of the person you're talking to that you don't really want to go that deep with?
So so the ones that are like more, how do you call it? So they're more like logical and they haven't really tried anything. These are the people that I go very deep with because I know
Mhm,
they haven't done anything because they don't want to like see the problem in front of them. But the ones
mhm,
that I don't go very deep into it, the ones that are like I see that they're kind of excited
mhm,
and I just figure out like, hey, what is their actual goal? Like what's the problem they're trying to solve?
mhm,
And they're usually these guys like they already bought something from us because it's like a low ticket lead. So
mhm.
they come in like pretty warm already.
Yeah. And it's like, and I would see if you can't track this on, and again, just be as real with yourself as possible. Did you just, and I think you'd be surprised on the results you get back of like you go into the call like 2 minutes in, 5 minutes in, you feel like this guy's a laydown versus did you actually close him? So I'm saying like, don't always fall into like like don't be lulled to sleep by like the laydowns because like oftentimes it can be a trap. And yes, you will get some laydowns across the line. Don't get me wrong. But are we here just to, close laydowns?
No.
Okay. So it's like, and even if they are laydowns, if you do the sales process right, they'll thank you for it. You get what I'm saying? So there's typically no downside just going through the process. And if you are right now, like you said, like irritating people with some of your questions, we got to take a look at why you're like, why is this happening? Is
Mm-hmm.
it how you're asking the question? Or do they feel like they're in a process? Again, are you not listening? There could be a number of different things that comes across that will get somebody irritated, like they feel like they're going through a process or they push back on your questions. Number one thing I see for like newer reps is they tend not to listen. Like it's literally just that. They tend not to listen, they gloss over things. So they ask questions that have kind of half been answered and they don't really include that into the question moving forward. And then it sounds like they're not listening. So it's like this person's not really here. Without hearing your calls, that's again making an assumption. Okay.
Yeah,
I
no.
assume like that's probably going to be the most common one. So
Okay.
it's hard to say without hearing the calls of like when you're getting these pushbacks. Um, but I would be curious when you do get pushback, do you still get these guys across the line?
Mm. Yeah, that's gonna be I can track it. I can start tracking it.
Yeah. And it's good to understand like what our numbers are. Like what are our numbers? Like how like what's our closing percentage of like all the calls that you've taken like this month, right? You said it's your best month. What how many of those percentage like have we actually closed?
So today, okay, let me just pull this up really quickly. So tracker sheet.
Mhm.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so I've taken 22 live calls
Mhm.
and then I've closed 10
Okay.
and then taken two deposits.
Okay. So like right now we're closing like 45%. So again, we can take a look at those 12 that why didn't they close? And we can try to get better at that. And if it is where you feel like there is a disconnect and like your guys' conversations, like how do we address to make sure there isn't that disconnect? Oftentimes, what happens is typically you're good at really connecting with a certain type of prospect, but another type of prospect, it's not really connecting. So therefore, you don't feel like you can go deeper. And if you do try, just because the connection's not there, you get pushback, right?
Yeah, that
So
ATAC, that's my
yeah,
weakness.
and I would say as well, man, if you are we're 17 days into January, is there any way that we can get the number of people you actually talk to up?
So I'm doing a lot of outbound dialing now. Like
Yep.
fuck man. Like today I've done,
Mhm.
let me check this. 165 dials.
Okay.
I've spoken to, let me see. So that is, okay. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 13, 14. Yeah,
Mhm.
14.
Talk to 14 people. How many did you set?
None. There's just a lot of people
Okay.
that don't really have the money.
Yeah. Okay. So how hard are you qualifying people to actually get on a sales call?
Well, super, like
Why?
hard. Well, to make sure that they can actually afford the program.
Why?
Why am I doing it?
Yeah. Do you like money?
Yeah.
Okay. So the number one way you're going to make more money is just to take more sales calls. Even if they aren't as qualified. Number one, we're in the Western world. Can they find the money? Do they have access to credit? Do you have access to all these different things? Now, again, if you're on a setting call and you're asking, like, hey, bro, are you willing to put this all on a credit card when they don't really know, like, and trust you? You haven't built out the pain? Like, that's a tough fucking ask. You get what I'm saying? Also, as well, the reliability of that answer on a setting call, when again, you haven't built out the pain, they haven't been indoctrinated as much, again, it's going to be lower, just overall. So when we talk about like, man, if right now you've taken 22 sales calls, we're taking 11 sales calls a week. It's 11 hours work for a week. Like it's a part-time job. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So if like we're talking to, and I'm not saying like, hey man, like start booking homeless people, right? But if they're at least making some money, they probably got access to credit or they can get the money together. Maybe they close next week or next month. It's fine, right? But it's like, what else are you doing with your time? Like that's the big one I would ask is if we only have like are booking 11 slots each week, like what would be the downside of you doubling it? Number one, like those are going to close at a lower clip. They just are. Like maybe of those people that you're booking with no money, you close 10% of them. That's one more sale a week.
Hmm.
You just make more money, right? Also, you'll get better at sales doing that because you got to learn how to sell broke people. You get what I'm saying? And so when you take a look, and really biggest thing is, man, if you have the calendar space, don't really qualify as far as money. If you want more money, if you want to make more sales, just take more sales calls. And some of those people aren't going to come through, and that's fine. But I'll tell you, if you get good, you'll close 30% of those guys. They'll find the money. They'll close next week. They'll get credit. They'll sell their fucking car. You get what I'm saying?
Mm. Because yeah, and like our qualification process is basically it's like, hey, do they have if they don't have any cash available, do they have the credit available? Do they have 300 a month? Like that's the absolute minimum because there's a guaranteed approved funding that we're working with. No matter
Mhm.
what the credit score is, they can still afford it.
If they make
Um,
like $300 a month.
if they can invest 300 a month, yeah.
Yeah, so if they have a job, like they should be qualified.
The problem is that if they don't pay it, then it like there's a back pay, so like we lose the commission if they can't afford it the next month for like 5 days or something.
Yeah, well, it's like, well, dude, if you don't take the call, you get no commission regardless. There's not even a chance to you get back pay, like to get the charge back. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I get you. Okay. I'm
You get
good.
what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like if they have a job, it sounds like they're pretty fucking qualified. If you do have, hey, everyone gets qualified. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Now, again, if they have a job and they're like really, when we're talking about qualification, the only thing you should be qualifying on is just their intent. Like, is this something they're actually wanting to look into, or that it's kind of fucking around? And if they're like, they have a problem you can solve and they have intent to actually look at solving that problem and have a job, like, dude, that's a qualified lead. Sell that person. Why wouldn't you sell that person? Is the better question.
Yeah. So here's the what I'm thinking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm always open to feedback. But if I do have somebody on the calendar and then the setters find someone better, then should I just set them like then it would kind of take the calendar space. So should I, for example, set them
How
on
many
three?
closers do you guys have?
Just me and the sales manager,
Okay, so and is the sales manager taking a ton of calls?
like three, four a day.
Like three, four a day, and you're taking like what, two a day? That's weird.
Two, three. Yeah.
Not the point. But like you can mark them free, or they can just find another slot that fits into their schedule. Like it's really whatever, man. But it's
Yeah.
like I would say, like as a salesperson, you should probably be selling 8 to 9 hours a day. Like this is what you do. You get what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like a 2, 3 hour thing. Again, if you want to make the most money as possible as a salesperson, just take more sales calls. Yeah.
Okay. I'll
And then
take
in your
my.
free time, follow up with people, hit up your no shows, and ask everyone for referrals, and then upsell people.
Hmm.
Because like, there's no way you talk to 14 people in a day that like were interested in your shit, and not one of them could have been a sale. The likelihood that that actually being true is close to zero. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to make more money?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to more people, sell them your shit. All right. Does that help?
Yeah, this is it's very good. Just need
Okay.
sometimes somebody to beat my ass, so it's good. I like it.
It's good, bro. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Cool. All right, Hunter, let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here, man. Howdy, howdy, dude.
Hey Christian, you can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Well, you've probably gone over this before,
Uh-huh.
but I'm starting on a new offer and I'm pretty new,
Okay.
and the offer is kind of new. They used to sell
Mhm.
like enterprise, but now they're doing like a done for you cold calling for
Mhm.
realtors. And
Okay.
so we're gonna be having ISAs book us in appointments,
Mhm.
and then we're also gonna have cold SMS that we'll be sending out. And so for the discovery on those cold SMS, they're just going to respond like, yes, we're interested. We're going to send out, are you interested in getting 20 to 30 new seller
Mhm.
leads, whatever it is, the offer. And they're responding back, yes. How deep do I go? Because I'll be setting it pretty much for myself to close. So how
Mhm.
deep do you go on discovery? You know, you go to pain, you go to problem
Mhm.
awareness, like how deep do you go? And then when you get on that sales call, like
Mhm.
how do you transition, what steps do you go through on that sales call?
Uh, some of it is just going to be personal preference. So it sounds like um your marketing mechanism is very much just like broad, like anybody, right? So just understand like your job on the front end as a salesperson is to disqualify people who make no sense. Okay. So you can either do that over text or you can just straight up call these people if you have the time. That's what I would do. If I had the time, I'll just straight up call them. And then that way they talk to a normal, like they talk to an actual human being. And then before they actually hop on the real sales call, like I'm going to send them over something to indoctrinate them to some degree. Like let them know more about what you guys do, how you've helped other people. So they don't just come on and there's absolutely no trust built.
Okay.
So that's step number one is the purpose of that would be to just make sure they're qualified. And I'm sure you guys have some type of qualifications for it. Maybe dive into a little bit of pain and then indoctrinate them. That would be the setting process to the best of your ability. So that way, when you hop on the sales call, like they are, at least to some degree, they know who you are and there's some level of trust built. Because I will tell you, just realtors, they are marketed to quite a bit
Oh yeah.
just in general, and they tend to be a lot more closed off, higher ego. Okay. So
Sure.
you just got to be good at being able to actually pull out real problems with these people and then being able to then, get them to trust you and then actually, close them on the closing call.
But when you're on
I
the
would,
set,
Mhm.
Mike, go ahead.
I would say like open the call, find out what they're looking for, what the problem is, understand their situation, dive in a little bit of problem, and then I would qualify whatever your qualifications are. Okay. Maybe they got to be doing this number or this number, whatever it is, qualifying them, and then, send them over a resource, and then you'd book them in.
Okay. And
Like
then
something simple like that.
and then when you get on the call, you'll kind of revisit, hey, you were telling me that you're struggling with this, and then kind of start the process through like a
Yeah,
normal
pretty
call.
much. It depends on how far out you booked. Like if let's say you book the next day, then it's like typically recap and then go into it. But let's say you book like 5 days from now, the likelihood that they're gonna remember anything you guys talked about is close to zero. So you just go like, hey, wrote some notes here, but my wife says I write like a doctor. And you can just start from the very top and then just go through it all.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Perfect, dude. Does it help?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect, man. All right. Awesome. Let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here, dude. Howdy, howdy.
What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up,
So
man?
context here is I own a kickboxing based fitness gym,
Uh-huh.
and we are selling a 6-week challenge, which includes kind of an additional accountability getting started, and we have our recurring memberships as well.
Uh-huh.
The structure is do an outbound phone call, got them an appointment set. They've came in person to the studio, or meeting in person to kind of close and do the full discovery, everything like that. I'm kind of the issue I'm running into is I'm just not getting enough emotional buy-in to get them to have the urgency to actually pull the trigger. Particularly when I try to like put them into like objection handling frames, stuff like that. I feel like they just don't hit. Issue is I'm not digging deep into discovery.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine, man.
So
I would say like the biggest thing is like why do people like what is there a transformation, or are they looking to come lose weight? Like typically what is the outcome they're looking for?
typically to lose weight to get ahead of health issues.
Okay. So you're dealing with people who are like, typically what, like 20, 30 pounds, and it's like, let's get them to pull the trigger.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So I would just say the biggest thing is when you're not okay, where in the discovery are you diving into like why they want to lose the weight, why it's important to them, or how are you going about it currently?
So typically I'll get to the point, for example, consult I had yesterday. Like, I get to the point where like she has a wedding in 4 months. Needs to lose like about 20 pounds for the wedding. She's mentioned health issues in her family, stuff like that. But I'm not digging into those health issues. I can't come up with the questions to ask to get the like dig into those health issues and like why is not having those health issues important to her.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, when you sit and think about it, like what motivates a person, right? Try to put yourself, again, I'm not a woman, but put yourself in the mind of this woman where she's a couple months out from her wedding, and on the periphery, like her friend or like her family has some health issues, like which is probably going to be most important?
Probably the wedding.
Her fucking wedding, right? So it's like we can like let's talk about that, okay? So it's just you can't accept that answers are obvious. We need to get them to articulate things. So it's like, oh, like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Like I have a wedding coming up in 2 months. Oh, why are you looking to lose 20 pounds for that? Oh, because I just want to look the best in my dress. I mean, some people are totally fine with just the weight that they have, going into their wedding. So why would it be important to you to really drop that weight and really try to look your best?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
open
It's
up
like,
a little bit.
it's that. And if you do go to your wedding and you look how you're looking right now and you don't look your best, like how would that feel? And tell me that lady's not buying.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So it's like, just don't accept like things are obvious. Cause like, to be frank, they're not obvious. Because how many women go and try to lose 30 pounds right before their wedding? I assume not a majority. So why do you want to be a person who does that? That's interesting. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Can we role play that? Can we role play discovery?
Yeah.
Like, probably maybe get someone to play the prospect. You just chime in when if I don't get deep enough.
Yeah.
I'm not running into like any brick walls or anything. Usually people are pretty open. It's just
okay.
expanding on it.
Okay, cool. KP can be a prospect. Okay, cool. Is there any type of prospect you'd want him to be?
Honestly, just pretty open with answers. It's really just digging deeper onto that problem. Not like
Okay,
people are shorting me or anything.
cool.
You want me to be a woman that's getting ready to get married?
Or like she's going to a wedding. Maybe like she's just going to, but it's not her wedding, but maybe like she's going to one.
But you deal with guys and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just say like it's yourself, you're 30 pounds overweight. For whatever reason, you want to lose weight.
All right, cool. I'm getting married. I gotta get in that dress.
Hell yeah, bro. All right, you're gonna start from the top.
Yeah, so it looks like it looked at maybe for some possible help with losing weight. I know we spoke a little bit on the phone, but can you tell me a little bit about where you're at and what you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, well, I'm just, really just trying to like, shed 20 or 30 pounds or so, just kind of get back to my fighting weight. It's been
You're,
20 years since I've really worked out.
oh wow, 20 years. It's a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I mean, it's been a while, but just since high school. But I've kind of had a somewhat active lifestyle, up until fairly recently,
Oh, okay.
and now I find myself, sitting behind a computer all day. So
Yeah. So what kind of happened that led you like transitioning from that active lifestyle to the more laid back one that you have going on right now?
kids.
It's okay. Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
You got a tight schedule.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So what has kind of come up for you recently? Given that you had the kids, you have the super tight schedule with managing all that. Like, what's been coming up recently that has you even open to maybe fitting in some more time to get back to that active lifestyle that you said you lost?
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't like an immediate, I couldn't really notice the effects immediately of kind of like being, kind of more sedentary lifestyle, right? Sitting behind a computer all day. But recently, it's just like I can tell that I'm like, I've gained a, considerable amount of weight. Clothes aren't really,
Yeah.
fitting anymore. And it's just my body hurts. I'm like stiff, sore, and it's like I've never had to have a regimented workout sort of thing. I've always had like very active sort of, lifestyle and jobs as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, just kind of body hurt, and I'm getting tired of the dad bod, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. I mean, to be honest, man, like most people, they come to us kind of to lose the weight, to get back active and maybe lose the dad bod. Like, but for you, like personally, kind of like what's come up for you to have you want to focus back in on this instead of kind of just kick it down the can down the road, kind of like a lot of people do.
Well, it's like if I'm looking at where I'm at now and how I've gotten here over the last like couple of years, it's just kind of like where is this going? So if the next couple of years are like the previous couple of years, then it's just like my health is kind of deteriorating, my energy levels are low, and it's just, something's got to give. So
And these lower energy levels, like how are those kind of showing up for you? In your kind of your day to day.
yeah, just kind of like feeling a little more like lethargic, and it's just overall energy. It seems like I've kind of had a kind of like the momentum or the inertia just kind of slows down. It's like harder to want to get out of bed, and just like
Yeah.
I've never really wanted to like you know take naps or anything like that, but just like kind of maybe like mid-afternoon or something like that, just kind of hit this point where I'm just like, oh fuck, I just want to crash.
Gotcha. And like, this lack of momentum and inertia, like you said you're used to having that super active and like
Hmm.
high energy lifestyle before you had the kids.
Yeah.
What has you even wanted to get back to that?
I mean, it just feels better overall, to be active, fit, and just having higher energy levels. Of course, kids are I don't know if you have children, but they're nothing but balls of energy.
Yeah,
So it's
you're
like
working on it.
keeping up with them and wanting to just be active and enjoy my life, enjoy my kids.
Gotcha. And yeah, kind of
You
get
just go
lost there.
deeper.
Yeah.
Just go deeper. So it's like again, we're accepting some of these things as, and that's what I'm saying. You can't accept the obvious answer. So when he's talking about like, oh, energy levels are down, like he has a dad bod, it's like, Well, I mean, lots of people are totally okay, like as they get older, just gaining weight and, losing energy, just being a fact of life. So you having the dad bod and not having the energy, do you see that as a good or a bad thing?
Feel like it's a bad thing. Okay.
Yeah, Kippy. Is that a good or a bad thing? Like you not having the energy and you having the dad bod.
Oh, I mean, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, why is that?
I mean, it's, like I don't have the energy. I mean, it's like I'll sit there and like look at
Yeah.
myself in the mirror and I'm like, dude, it's like
Yeah.
I got the gut, it's
Yeah.
real. The dad part is real, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
not
And
being out of breath to like run up
yeah.
and down the basketball court one time. You know what I mean? It's like fuck,
Yeah.
dude.
Well, how's this actually like showing up in your day to day? Like looking in the mirror, seeing the gut. Like how's this actually showing up for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I just kind of feel like
Mhm.
I don't know, it's like you see people like, David Goggins or something like that out there, right?
Yeah.
Like just fucking do it, get it done, like do
Yeah.
it, right? And it's like I just feel like I'm pretty far away from that, you know what I mean? And I feel
Yeah.
like there's definitely a better
Yeah.
kind of version of myself, if you will.
Right.
It's like got that
Yeah.
energy that's able to kind of keep up with my kids, outrun
Yeah.
my kids, and
Well,
uh,
where does that drive come from to really be that better version of yourself? Or why do you feel like that's important to you, man?
well, I mean, that kind of drive, I feel like
Mm.
has always been there as far as just
Yeah.
I've always been kind of a fairly
Right.
competitive
Yeah.
person, like with
Uh-huh.
others and with myself,
Yeah.
kind of setting a standard, and just really, I think it's it comes down to my kids. It's like
Yeah.
I started having kids when I was like in my
Uh-huh.
late 30s. So I'm like, if I'm
Yeah.
doing the math on this, like by the time they're like
Yeah.
teenagers, I mean, if I go on this trajectory, I'm gonna be just a
Uh-huh.
fucking blob. So it's like, do I want to
Yeah.
do I want to be able to enjoy those sort of
Yeah.
things with my
Well,
kids,
I
right?
mean, and because if we do keep going on like this path, like what would that actually look like? How you'd be able to show up for them?
Not too good.
In what way?
Well, I mean, I could just see like I said, if
Mhm.
I continue on the kind of the trajectory that
Yeah.
I'm on, right? It's like it's not
Yeah.
getting any better or more energy. So it's like, man, another
Yeah.
years rolling by, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, would
Yeah.
I even be able to participate in any of the stuff, any of the sports, or
Yeah.
taking them sailing? I want to like,
Right.
you know, take them on adventures and be able
Yeah.
to hike,
Because
enjoy.
and that's like in the future, but like how do you feel like we're showing up now, just who we have been?
Mm. Well, I mean, it's not like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
like, a completely,
Yeah.
degenerate like quadriplegic or anything, right?
Right.
But it's like, I feel like it's kind of I've
Yeah.
been kind of trending in that way as far as just like I said, I
Yeah.
put the weight, I not have as much energy. So now it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, see where this is going. I
Yeah.
don't feel as good as I know I could or that I did. I
Right.
don't have as much energy as I did even 5 years ago. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And this lack of energy and just really not liking what you look into the mirror and just how you're showing up. I mean, I don't want to assume because I'm in my shoes, I'm not in yours. But like, how does that feel?
I mean, I guess in two ways it doesn't feel
Yeah.
good, but it also kind of like I mean it's motivating. I can say
Yeah.
that. It doesn't feel good, but it's also like, okay, I've kind of gotten to this point and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
now it's time to like do something
Yeah.
about it. What I'm
But
kind
but
of
what do you feel like allowed us to get to this point though?
what allowed us to get to this point. Just sitting behind the,
Yeah.
having to change careers basically and now being sat
Yeah.
behind the desk. I mean, that's
Yeah.
essentially what's, created. I
Uh-huh.
have
And
this lifestyle that's different now, but I
yeah.
don't never had to
Yeah.
have to fit being active into my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
and like
was,
and I can appreciate that. But most people who do come to us, again, they are more of like behind the desk type of lifestyle.
mhm.
So what do you feel like just allowed yourself to like not go out and like actually like seek the activities so we didn't get to this point?
I think maybe just like a matter, young kids, right? It's just like having
Yeah.
the time to do it. Like it's like I get off of
Yeah.
before and after work, it's like,
Yeah.
dad detail, right? So
Yeah.
it's just, changing diapers, like cooking
Yeah.
food, like all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
just now that they're a little bit older, it's like
Yeah.
I'm not, wiping asses every 10 minutes. So,
Yeah.
they've got a little more autonomy, which in
Yeah.
turn has given me a little more autonomy as
Yeah.
well.
And how long have they had just more of that autonomy so it's freed you up a bit?
I'd say probably like in the last like 6 months, my youngest is really kind of getting to a
Okay.
point like, okay, you don't need like constant, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
sort of.
Yeah. So then what do you feel like is actually preventing you in the past 6 months of going out and like finding a way to be more active so you could lose the weight?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think
Yeah.
in the maybe just now at this point, it's kind of
Mm.
gotten where I've really come to realize like it's as bad as
Yeah.
it is. I don't think over the last 6 months, even I was like,
Yeah.
obviously I was putting on weight, but I
Yeah.
don't think I was really had gotten to a point yet where I was like,
Oh,
it really dawned on me like, oh fuck, like if this
that's
continues,
interesting, man. Like what was that moment that like I guess like shifted for you that you realized it had gotten this bad?
it was looking in the mirror, like
Mhm.
couple weeks ago, kind of looking in the
Yeah.
mirror, and it's just like, looking at my gut and my
Yeah.
my flabby body, I was just like, fuck,
Uh-huh.
man, what have I kind of become?
Yeah. And from there, probably, time to make a change, maybe understand a little bit more about, what does he need and what would that do for him? But that's pretty much it. But it's just like you can't accept the surface level of, well, oh, I don't like this dad bod. Why don't you like this dad bod, bro? Like, why do you see dad bod as being a bad thing? You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
then you
so
can just
yeah.
understand like his motivations and how he views things. You get what I'm saying? Because he's
Oh
giving
yeah.
you all the information you need.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
those deeper questions don't come
yeah,
naturally to me. So it's just like I'm working on it, but it's like it's
you
nuts.
just got to be curious.
Yeah.
Like, you can't assume you just got to be curious. So it's like, what's this guy's motivation? He wants to be, in shape dad that has the energy for his kids. So when you're in objection handling and you're talking to his true motivations of him not moving forward, like oftentimes if you're like handling somebody's concern and you're trying to objection and it's just not landing, it's because you're not talking to them. You're trying to put them in a box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
Okay. So it's like, just take your time. Nobody says you have to go fast. And it's just about asking that extra question of like, why is this important to you? Because for most people, it's not important. Like, why is it important? If you just ask yourself, why is this person really here? What's their true motivation for being here? Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Hopefully that
Appreciate it, man.
helps. Yeah, absolutely. All right. All right.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is Kelly. I don't know why, but Zoom started
Okay.
like defaulting me
Kelly.
to a like a junk email that I use. So every time I log out for work and come back, it's like KP's in a
Yeah.
tree. But nonetheless, I guess I'm in the hot seat now. So I just kind of
Mhm.
got back into. I still currently am a student success coach on a guitar offer. I'm going back
Okay.
into closing, so I'm kind of like ramping up back into closing. It's been since I think April since I've actually taken any calls. But I started back
Yeah.
this week, and this particular one,
Mhm.
there's two things that I've kind of well. First thing is we have this like kind of paid in full discount, right?
Yeah.
So like for a mentorship, 13,800. If you pay in full, it's 11,800. I feel like presenting it that way is just it's more to think about. It's more options. And I mean, do
Mhm.
you have a recommendation as far as like should you just present the full price and then if it's like if we
Yeah.
have ways of kind of we there's different ways that shakes out, but it's you just drop the one price.
Yeah. Just present the price that it would be as far as with the payments. and then just work your way down from there.
Like
That's
just give them that and then have conversation. And if they can access that
Yeah.
much, or if it's okay.
Yeah. So let's
70.
say the paid in full with payments is like 6K, and then paid in full discount is like 5K. You always just pitch the 6K.
Got it. Okay. And would you mind taking a look at a call?
Mhm. Yeah.
Drop it in here. I just like grabbed a highlight out of it because I figured it. But it's basically right where I dropped the price. Now this guy, he's like, I ended up taking a deposit, right? And I've got to follow up with him on Monday. But basically he had like done some research and this he claimed that this was about double what he was anticipating, right? And so as far as the
Okay.
price. And
Okay.
I felt like I got into this like kind
Mhm.
of starting to negotiate with him. And I feel like I just wasn't getting any traction. And this went on for a while. So it was kind of like some objection handling, negotiating, and it wasn't clean. And I feel like if I
Okay.
figure this shit out, I think I'll be making bank.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So it just starts from where you drop the price.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
For a 1-year mentorship, it's 13.8K. If
How much?
13.8.
Okay.
Now, for folks that can take care of it up front, if you are able to do that, it would be 11,800. So we do offer a little bit of a save a little bit of money if you're able to take care of it up front. Otherwise, if we have to break it up, it's going to be 13.8.
I see. So 11,800. So it's basically 983 a month. Okay. For whatever reason, somewhere where I was reading, I had the impression it was something like 500 a month. So that's
Yeah.
that's a lot more than I was thinking with the renovation that I'm doing at the moment. I would I really want to do it.
Okay. So it's like just immediately, it's like, okay, and I can appreciate it's more than what you thought it was going to be, but does that matter though if it gets you XYZ result?
Okay.
It's like, okay. Yeah, and I can appreciate it being a little bit more than you expected, but does it matter though if it gets you to A, B, and C? Because if you just put money aside for a second, like, would you do it? And then you just go right into money objection.
Okay. And we ended up kind of getting into like he's got this like
Mhm.
money in an IRA and he's over budget on some kind of real
Yeah.
estate that he's got. I mean, all this kind of stuff, and
None of it matters.
yeah. And I feel like I kind of got into this kind of, negotiating with him and trying to like make something work or whatever. But I don't know. I like I said, I kind of went into that like money thing, but maybe that was it. I just missed like, is it actually worth it to you? If it,
Yeah. Like, hey, does it matter if it's a little bit more if it gets you to where you want to be? And the answer should be no, it doesn't matter. Okay. So, and I can appreciate, like you said, with things going on, money might be a bit of an issue. But if you took the money aside, if you had a duffel bag full of cash, like, would this actually be the answer for you? Why would it be the answer? Why actually invest in yourself? You just go through the money objection.
okay.
Right. Because, like,
I definitely
again,
have to think about it very carefully. If I do it, I would pay the money up front. I would take the the lower option. But I do need to really think about that because that is basically almost twice what I was ballparking for this. But it does sound like something I really want to do. I just really have to think about it.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. And like when you go, just see if I can help here. Like when you go to have a think about it. I mean, what is kind of coming up for you?
like I already told you. You get what I'm saying? So if
Yeah.
they do say they need to think about it, you flush it out if there's really nothing else there. He told you like straight up, like, hey, this is the money. It's just more than what I thought it was going to be. So just go about, and again, he's just going to tell you the same thing he just told you. So it's not the
Sure.
end of the world. We just go a little bit of in a circle, right?
Right.
Lots of fun.
So I'm doing a renovation. I'm trying to I'm renovating a building in order to rent it as an Airbnb in Nashville as an income stream, in order that I don't have to have an ordinary job, and that I can focus most of my time on music. Obviously, an Airbnb, doesn't run itself, but it's
Sure.
not a full-time job like working in tech, which I did most of my life.
Mhm.
So, however, that
It's money.
renovation, like many renovations of an old building, has been incredibly punishing and financially punishing, and everything else as well. So to give an example, I needed to dig out underneath the bathroom and the kitchen to create a crawl space, and I did that literally myself, like absolutely pile of dirt in the garden which I had dug out from the crawl space, because I needed to make space for the contractor to be able to get rid of all this rotten wood and mold and what have you. But it's been a very hands-on process where I've had to do stuff like that. I'm financially through that quite exhausted. So when we were talking about this, I was thinking it was going to be somewhere in the reading that I.
But like, here's the thing, man. Like, he already told you he has the full amount. So you already know that. He already told you. And it's just about, now we can't go into justifying the price. We got to anchor that it's worth what it is. Because any type of justifying is just going to cut at our authority, cut at what we actually do, and makes it less likely that he's going to want to move forward.
Got it. So you're saying, okay, don't justify the price. There's no trying to sell
the price.
the price.
Is a price.
It's just,
yeah,
sure.
I can charge you more if you want.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
If anyone tries to make a deal, I can charge you more. You never justify the price, right? It, like, the price, the value should be there. Okay. Because he's like, oh, like, I definitely want to do it. So it's like, he sees the value there. So it's just like, okay, and I can appreciate it's a little bit more expected, but does that matter though if it gets you here? Okay, so money aside, would you do it? And then get his commitment to change. And it's like, hey man, what can you do? I can understand if you got a lot of moving pieces. Let's not focus on what we can't do right now. We'll be here all day. What can we do so we can A, B, and C? And if like he has to move some money around, like, can you take $1,000, like your first payment on the payment plan, and then he pays the rest in like a month? Like, you could like get creative with him potentially on like what you're actually able to do.
Right. But I think, as you said, I think the biggest takeaway here is like none of that kind of negotiating is going to, and didn't get anywhere, because not addressing the like, all the more than what you thought it would be, because it kind of kept circling back to that. And
yeah, so it's like we just got to nip in the butt, like, because honestly it doesn't matter if it gets him the result. Literally, if he thought it's like 1,000, 2,000 more, like, does that actually matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, he thought he was paying 10K, now he's paying 12. Like, what fucking difference does it make? Like, legitimately. You know what I mean? As long as it still gets him there. And I assume it's still worth it for him.
right. Okay.
So just with something like that, again, you can't fall into their frame of, oh, well, it's more than I expected. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, do you want the result or do you not want the result? That's all we're here to really talk about.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Totally, man. Appreciate it.
Okay. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it does. I just need to work on my dad bod now, so I might be calling up what's his name?
Oh, hell yeah.
Got you covered, man. We'll kick your ass.
All right, ready. Let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here, man. Howdy, dude.
Cool. How's it going, man? Doing well. So I feel like in objection handling, like I feel like I'm fairly decent at reframing most people when it comes to I need to think about it. But there's a very small percentage of people that like seem to be very like stubborn, very like in their own way, and very adamant about taking 24 hours to think about it. It's how they've always like made decisions, how they've always operated.
Okay.
So I was wondering if like we could role play where I'm the prospect and you're kind of, trying to make me crack, but like FYI, like I'm gonna be like a super douche. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna
like what am I selling, man?
So it's funding, so business funding. So people either need capital to start a business or scale a business.
Okay, so it's like business funding,
Yeah.
and then Like what's the type of prospect you're playing? Like what's the avatar here?
Like um like I'm looking to scale a business. I'm making like 5K a month with it right now. Um and I haven't had the funds for multiple years. Um Spoken to other companies,
Okay.
but you know, the 5K a month, that's revenue. Like I'm only taking home like 2K a month profit maybe, and kind of just
Yeah.
not,
And
I'm
like
pretty broke.
where do you need to get to?
I need to
Profit.
get to like at least 10K a month.
Okay. Why?
Because I have like
Okay.
kids college coming up or something like that.
Okay, cool, man. You see how like you need like making sure you get all that information on your discovery, by the way.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, but it's like, yeah, man. So the investment required to go ahead and actually get this business funding in place so you can actually scale your business to 10K per month is just going to be like 10,000. A couple different ways to break it up, but it's just going to depend on what works best for you. But next steps, going ahead, take care of the investment and then getting you set up with the onboarding. Any questions how that works?
No questions there.
Okay,
I mean,
perfect,
yeah,
man.
you
Like
know, the
would that actually work for you?
Um, I mean, it's definitely it's
Mhm.
definitely quite a lot just compared to like how much I actually make. But I
Yeah.
mean, if it gets me if it actually works and it gets me the money, then yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
seems fairly reasonable.
Yeah, when you say like if it actually works, I mean, we've worked with thousands of clients and got them results. Is there any particular reason why you feel like it won't work for you?
No particular reason. It's just, you know, I've seen people get scammed in the past before.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can definitely appreciate that, right? So, but like for you, do you feel like with what we laid out, do you feel like we can actually get you the funding so you can be making 10,000 per month?
Yeah, no, yeah, I do think so. But I'm definitely just gonna need like at least 24 hours just like to think about it.
Okay, yeah, that's not an issue, man. And just to see if there's anything like I can help with on my end, send you over the most relevant information. Like, what do you feel like you really need to go over in your mind to see if I can help over here?
Um, I mean, I guess like the not, I just want to make sure
Mhm.
that it's like something that I definitely want to do, like do my due diligence and just like
Okay,
really like make sure like
cool,
this is the
man.
route for me.
Yeah, so when you're talking about like do your due diligence, like what do you actually like go over just to see if I can help over here?
Just like, you know, obviously I just want to make sure that like I can cover the payments like month to
Okay,
month.
yeah, yeah,
And then I just also want to make sure that like you guys are reputable, and
yeah, of
I just
course,
want to at
man.
least have like the 24 hours just to kind of go over
And,
all these things.
and when you say like cover the payments, like what do you mean by that specifically?
Uh, like, um, like if I were to finance it, because I probably finance it, I
Yeah.
definitely can't pay in full.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah,
just want to
not an
make
issue,
sure
man.
that like even if it doesn't work out, that I can cover the
Yeah.
payments.
No, yeah, that definitely does make sense. If you had like a duffel bag full of cash, it's like good to go. Like, would you do it?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
you,
it's
you don't sound too sure.
no, I mean, yeah, I'd probably do it, man. Yeah, for sure.
It probably.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, why would you do it though?
I mean, I definitely need the capital. It's better than, you know, getting a loan from the bank or anything.
Yeah, but like, why actually invest in your business so you can be making more money?
Well, I mean, you know, because you know, kids got college coming up, and
Yeah,
we definitely want to be able to you know, pay for all that stuff and go on
yeah,
family vacations
100%,
and all
man.
that.
And I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from. Can I share a perspective though?
Yeah, sure.
Like, which one is the problem? Which one is a symptom?
Oh, what do you mean?
Because if you're at the point where your company was making 10,000 profit each and every month, would we have to make sure like we can make the payments?
I mean, no,
Yeah.
I guess not.
So what's the real problem then?
Mm, uh, I don't. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had the skills to raise the capital, would we be running into this money issue?
No.
Yeah. So the real problem is we don't have the skills to be raising the capital we need to scale. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
still
And
like
and
at least
and
I just need 24
why?
hours.
And again, we can definitely talk about that, but why does it make sense?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, if I was making 10K a month, like
Yeah.
obviously, but I mean, I'm coming to you guys for money,
Yeah,
so like I don't really have the money in
yeah,
the first place.
100%, right? And that's why people do come to us. Like the money, that's the easy part. We can figure that stuff out. The hard part is making sure we're focusing on the right things and we're actually committed to change. So are you actually willing to focus on the real problem? Again, we don't have the capital to scale rather than just focusing on the money we don't have.
I mean, yeah, you know,
Why,
that's
why
that's
would
why I'm on the
you
call.
why would you do that though?
Well, I mean, because like I gotta, you know, scale the business somehow. It's like I either do this, like I go
Yeah.
get like a loan from the bank. So
But I do have to ask, if we continue just to focus on the money we don't have and we don't scale the business, like what's going to happen?
I guess I'd probably have to go to the bank and like probably get a loan from them.
Yeah, but why not do that? Like, why do you see that as like not a good thing?
I mean, like if I didn't have to, like if I didn't have to pay the interest rate, like you know,
Hmm.
with this, like it'd be preferable for sure.
Yeah, but like, why don't you want to pay the interest rate? Because most people are totally fine just going to the bank, totally cool. So why not do that?
Well, I mean, it's just like if I didn't have to, like
Yeah,
why would I want to pay more money?
yeah. Because if you did have to pay more money, like, what would this cause?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be like
Mhm.
the worst thing ever. Like, and I would just ultimately I'd have to just with the business that I make the money, it just kind of take a little bit longer to pay it back.
Yeah, why don't you want things to take longer? Because you could, and most people do.
Um, I mean, I guess like it's you know
At
if I don't
first.
have to, like I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, well, it's like it just comes down to for you, do you know the difference between a want and a need?
Uh, yeah, like if you need something, like you need air, you need water, like you
Yeah.
do anything
Let,
to do it.
a want is if it's convenient, right?
Hmm.
A need is you'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So, do you want to grow your business as quick as possible, or do you need to grow your business as quick as possible?
Of course, like I need to grow the business. It's like it's not like I'm not saying like I
Why
don't
is
want to
it a
do this.
need
I
though?
just at least want like just like 20
And
because
and
like I've always done it
and,
this way.
and we could talk about it, but it doesn't make much sense if we can't even make the payments and everything like work. But first, even before we talk about that, like, dude, I can give you the best diet plan in the world, but if you're not actually committed to change, like, what type of results are you gonna get?
I'm not very good, and I'm committed to change. Like I
Yeah,
really want to do this.
why are you committed though?
Um, because I gotta grow the business. Like
You
I
don't
gotta be
have to
able to.
do anything because we haven't up until this point. So what happens if this continues?
I guess like I won't be able to scale. I guess the business as fast as I want to.
Yeah, and again, like you said, if it's just a once, we'll do it, if it's convenient. But for you, if it's a need, what would be the actual day-to-day impact if we don't do what we need to do and we don't scale the business and we continue to make 2,000 per month?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be that'd be pretty devastating.
So
No, I
are
mean
you willing to allow that to happen?
no, I mean definitely not, definitely not.
Okay. So let's not focus on what we can't do, man. We'll be here all day. I want to see you win. And I've been in your shoes before, so I get where you're coming from. Let's
Mm,
focus on what we can do.
okay.
Bills, expenses aside, what are you actually working with that you can invest in yourself in the business so you can get out of being devastated and we can actually grow this thing?
Um, yeah, you know, I think I should be able to cover the first payment with like what I
You
actually have,
should
but
or can you?
I mean I don't know. Like if I could just have like at least 24
Yeah.
hours just like to look over my finances,
Yeah,
it's just
and we
like
can and definitely taking time, we can do that. But it doesn't make much sense to take that time if we can't even decide or understand like does this even actually work? So it's like for
oh no,
you,
I think
like
it'll work.
is that available for you? Like you can actually do that?
Yeah, it should be, and like I think it'll work.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just how I've always done things. Like just take at least 24
Okay.
hours.
Yeah, and when you're talking about like you've always done things that way, and I can appreciate where you're coming from. Um, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because we all make decisions based off our perspective, right? The problem with
Okay.
that is if we keep on making decisions based off the perspective we have of who we have been, that's the only place we'll ever be. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose you're right there.
Yeah. So I do have to ask, like the person who we have been, who's been stuck at 2K per month for the past couple years, are you happy with the person who we have been?
No, I mean,
Well, why
definitely not.
not?
I mean, yeah, no, this is all, I gotta hop on another call. That was perfect.
Okay.
Like those loops, I'm gonna go back through this. Like
Okay.
I just need the loops, bro.
I
Cause
go
like
all day, man.
cause like I sometimes like they'll be tough as hell. I'll go through
Yeah.
1, 2 loops and then it's like it gets combative, but those loops are solid, bro. I appreciate it so much.
All right. Hopefully that
Thank
helps,
you.
man. All
Thank you,
right.
bro.
Cool, man. Kill your call. All right, Nathan, you there? Or Coach Nathan?
I just want to say he got work, man.
Yeah, man. So super quick question.
Uh-huh.
We just transitioned to close, and
Yeah.
is that the CRM that you were using when you were at seventh?
Yeah.
Okay. We're like our entire company is having trouble. I'm trying to search it up, but I can't fucking find it. How do you enroll like a lead into
Uh-huh.
a workflow automatically when you change like the pipeline?
Um, fuck if I know, dude. So it's been a while since I've been inside close. If you there should be things that automatically do it. Again, I would typically just automatically like put people in workflows
Okay.
for myself, and then
Yeah.
like some of them like the ops team would do it automatically, but it takes like an extra step on your end. Like when you're about to move somebody, just you go back, click workflow, and just put them into it. There is a
Okay.
way to automate it, but I couldn't tell you.
Okay. All
I'm sure
right.
if you fucking look it up on YouTube, you can find it out.
I've been looking it up for the past fucking hour. I ain't find shit. Whatever. Um, but yeah, man, I took a few set calls standing up. It feels so much better. Like my
Yeah.
energy is up and like it just feels so good, man. So yeah.
Good, dude. You might need to find like a mat to stand on, or I don't know, you're
Yeah, my
young,
feet are
so
hurting a little bit.
this might not be an issue, but if I did that for a whole day, like my fucking back and neck would be killing me. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
So you might just want to like find a mat. They're like, 20 to $50, depending. You can get a really nice one for like $100. That you can just stand on, and it like you can like move around a bit, and it makes it to where it doesn't hurt your feet or your back. It helps.
Okay. All right. Sweet, man. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that helps. All right. And then got the other Nathan here. Howdy, man.
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Staying out of trouble, you know. So I do have a few questions. So in the beginning of the week, like I was like killing it, made a good commission, and then like took that client, I posted it in the group chat, right? Like really good. But now
Yep.
like I don't know if it's like our marketing or like I'm just like tweaking or something.
Yep.
But like I feel like I just can't go through discovery that well anymore. I don't know what happened or if like I'm psyching myself out. Like I just have trouble asking like finding that initial problem, so like getting the problem questions in, and then just trouble like asking the pain because I feel like I'm like overstepping or something. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want that to be the case because I feel like that's just a limiting belief. But I kind of wanted to talk about like if you could go through discovery
Yeah.
for my thing, I could kind of show you my script just to see like what I'm working with now, and then you could go through whatever you think would be like best if you kind of understand where I'm coming from.
I will say, okay, so again, when we're talking about like just making sure we stay steady and we're always like at top level performance,
Yeah.
just understand, okay, like if you had a high, like dude, you fucking killed it and like you got super excited, just naturally, any type of reaction, there's equal and opposite reaction. So really high highs cause really low lows, just so you know. Now, something that we can do is number one, we can understand like when we are like in a little bit of a downslope, understand that, identify it, and then just how do we put yourself in the position of being back to where you were when you're in your upslope. So typically what happens when you're on like, let's say a hot streak. Okay. It's not that, okay, like now you magically just know the words better. Like typically it's the energy you show up and it's like the confidence you show up, like in the conviction, everything else on the calls. So what I would do if I was in your shoes is again, take those top sales calls where you're fucking crushing it and you listen to those bad boys every single morning. And what you're going to take note in is what is the energy and how did you come across in those calls? And then what you want to do is you want to systematize it and then remind yourself of this is how you show up the calls to get the best results.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So like before a call, kind of like what I do before every single call to make sure that I'm performing essentially, right?
Yeah. And like this is why journaling is really important because like some days you just fucking feel great. Right. And it's like, and if you journal, you can start to pick out things that maybe you've done and you can just write down, like, what have you done? How do you, like, what did you do today? Like, how do you feel? How did the day go? And then like, you notice like, okay, on the good days, I tend to do this. On the days where I don't feel so great, I don't. I just do that every day. You know what I mean? And then you can just start
Yeah.
to systematize you feeling good. That's basically what
Right.
state management is. So go back, listen to your calls, see how you showed up. That's going to make it towards like, how can I emulate that energy? Was there something I did that made me feel better on my calls? I know for me, if I don't get on Twitter or listen to the news, I'm in such a better mood. Well, how about I never get on Twitter? You get what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's
Right,
like
right.
your mental diet and everything else outside of the calls really does impact how you show up. So you can start to notice these things and piece them together.
Okay, 100%. I think on because it was like this Monday. The thing was I had like a ton of follow-ups coming through. So I had like a good day, like in terms of like cash collected. So I knew that was gonna happen. So like I just kind of felt more energetic. But as of now, like after this call, like in 20 minutes, I should have another call where I'm just coming up to pick up the cash. Obviously, I'm worried a little bit.
Okay.
Hold on.
So now we need to talk about why don't you have, because when we're talking about optimism, it sounds like when
Yeah.
you're more optimistic, that means you genuinely feel like outcomes are going to be good. You have
Yeah.
better energy.
Yeah.
When you're not as optimistic, your energy drops.
Yeah.
What causes you to be less optimistic? Because these are just things in our head.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, I hear you. Because I feel like for me, when I feel more optimistic, it's like, okay, I spoke to this because they're usually follow-ups, and I don't want them to be follow-ups. I want to be able to close on the call, right?
Yep.
That's the idea. But like with these follow-ups, when they do come through, it's like, okay, I know this day I'm going to be probably making between here and here, depending on what I'm closing, like whatever, like, comes through. So like on the calls that I have outside of those, it's like, hey, I already know that I'm probably going to be making some money. I'm optimistic. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So, so you are like, you don't need the sale on these other calls, so they go better.
That's kind of honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we make that to where that's just every call you take, period? You get what I'm
And I
saying?
guess no, I 100% do. Because like for you, what would you say is like a way to actually like like an SOP, like a system that I could, I guess, kind of place into my life to actually have that be the case?
Well,
That
part of it is just like, okay, we got to understand, are we doing the activity that makes it reasonable that we're always going to be in that position where we don't need any one sale? Like, that's just number one. Like, are we actually doing the things we know we need to do? Okay.
right?
So, and then it's just about, for you, do you believe if you actually talk to people, you're going to have good outcomes?
Honestly, it for me it depends on the person, like who comes on the call.
It
Because like I
shouldn't.
could just yeah, I mean I feel like it shouldn't either, but it's like after like seeing like after hopping on all these calls, it's like okay, I know the person that when they come on like this, usually the call ends up being like that. So it's like, man, I don't want to waste my time. You know what I mean?
Because when you talk about like you wasting your time, like what else would you be doing?
Honestly, going through the school community, that's gonna be completely like being
Yeah,
completely
but like you
frank.
could be training and
But
getting better and things like that. But it just comes
yeah,
down to, for you, like how can we foster in a self-image that if you talk to other people, that you get good outcomes? That's really what it comes down to. So if you notice, there's a certain type of individual that you have a hard time with. Okay. This is what I would do if I was you. I would sit down and like have these people in your mind. Let's say you talked to a couple of them today. They didn't go quite well. Fuck those guys. You go in and you use your imagination and you literally replay these conversations in your head of them going fantastic and them handing over their credit card.
right.
Your brain doesn't know the difference between what actually happened and what you imagine to happen. So this is how you can start to foster like an actual identity of like, no matter who you talk to, you're going to have good outcomes. And I would do this every single night. Okay. So that
But
way,
like literally
again,
sit down, not even in my bed. Like, does it
you can
matter?
do it. You can do it in your bed. You can do it like at a chair. As long as you do it, like spend like 20 minutes, whatever it is, as long as it just becomes like a habit. Like for me, I do it like as I'm like laying down to go to bed. Like I
Right.
imagine everything going like you rewrite the day and then you live the future. This is what I do every single day. So that way, when I hop on a call, I closed 100%, bro. Never lost a sale. Like, not in my head.
I hear you.
Give a
I hear
fuck. You know what I'm saying?
you. Right. Damn. So then I mean like, okay. So it's really just like
Mhm.
kind of going over what we just talked about. So like how to become more optimistic, right?
Yeah.
Optimistic. Man, I guess like it's that, but it's also like I don't know, like as of now, like I'm just not only good things happen. Okay. But like I'm just I guess like in discovery like now just because of all of that, like I
Mhm.
feel like I just can't dive in as deep and really hit those pain questions. So like
Okay.
would you want to
So
run through
now,
it quick or no?
yeah, and we definitely can.
Whatever
But I'm
you
saying,
think is better, right?
yeah, well, I'm saying like it sounds like because you've gotten some deals and you have some good, like you can fucking, you can sell people, right? So
A
it just
little bit,
comes down
sure.
to, right? We can always get better. Okay. So that's the
Yeah.
point. But the thing is, it sounds like it's like, okay, like then when you're more pessimistic, you don't have that same level of ability. So now we just need to
Yeah.
talk about state management. So we talk about state management. There's three pillars. It's focus, okay, physiology, and then language. So if we're talking about like optimistic, are you focusing on the right things? Are you focusing like, hey, I want to really have good conversations with people. I truly want to help people. And if I do that, I'll get good outcomes. Your focus where it should be. Are you in the right state of like body? Like, are you, body language good? Do you feel better when you get up and you move in between calls? Like, move your body a little bit. These things could definitely help. Like I talk about, like Alex Mosey, like had like a trampoline. He'll jump on a trampoline in
Yeah.
between calls. Like these are some things you could do. Like you can move your body to get yourself into
Right.
a different state. And then we can use our language. We can say things like a mantra where we say things that are optimistic. Okay. If we do all these things, it's unreasonable that you don't get into the right state. And these are things like you can systematize where it's like, okay, I'm not in the right state. Where's my focus at? What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on good outcomes or bad outcomes? If focus on bad outcomes, I need to switch my focus on good outcomes. How am I, like, how's my body language? Am I kind of slumped over? Have I gotten any active today? Have I gotten out into the sun a little bit? Like, these are things that can all add up as far as just putting you in a better state of mind. And what type of language am I using? Am I telling myself or am I saying out loud that, oh, these people might not close? Or, oh, these people probably won't close? Am I telling myself that?
Mm. I
Do
do
you know what
tell
I'm saying?
myself that and be completely frank.
Yeah. So it's like if you're telling yourself that, it's pretty unreasonable that you're not going to act that way. And if you act like these people aren't closable, like, are you going to do the things that it would take to actually close them? Probably not, because you don't think they're closable.
Right. Right. Damn. I honestly I don't have anything to say regarding that. Like it's true because I feel like even like my focus, like
Mhm.
man, I wake up every single day. It's like
Mhm.
I have my alarm at 6, right? And like
Mhm.
usually my cars start at 9, but it's like man, between 6 to 9, it's like okay, like what should I be training on exactly? Like yada yada. So
Yeah.
like maybe I'll like hit snooze, right? I don't even want to be that guy, but like dude, I'll hit snooze
Mhm.
until 7, right? So it's like
Mhm.
I guess like these little things that are kind of
Mhm.
you know what I mean, like adding up to
Yeah.
me not damn.
So it's like, and you can literally like go back, like if you want to start a journal on the days where you fucking crush it, on the days you don't. I'm telling you right now, how you showed up during the days that you crush it, you showed up differently.
100%. Yeah. And I guess like maybe I'm asking this too soon, but like this is not a
Mhm.
sales call, but
Yeah.
like regarding like the other like the mastermind, right?
Uh-huh.
So because obviously I want to be good at closing, right? Like obviously
Yeah.
this is like my goal,
Yeah.
man to man, right here. Like oh my gosh, this is literally like a because obviously this is what I go through as well. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like when regarding that,
Uh-huh.
like I want to get into it, but it's also like I want to be at because right now I'm on pace to like doing 10K a month, and I want to hit
Yeah.
20. Right.
Right.
Last week I hit like 2,800. This week, obviously, I want to do like around the same and just continue doing that. So for you, it's like what do you think I should be doing? Like because
Yeah.
I want to get into it, but like what do you think I should be doing maybe before I get into the mastermind, if that makes sense? I don't even know if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, it's like, here's the thing, man. Why does there need to be a thing like before? See,
That's what I'm saying.
and again, like, and if you want to have a conversation about it, we can definitely have a conversation about it. But like part of your ability to actually start helping other people overcome their concerns is you need to sit and dissect your own concerns.
Right.
right? And these patterns that you fall into, like these are the patterns that you're going to have a hard time breaking in others. So if you're getting
Right.
a lot of people and it sounds like you're doing a lot of follow-ups, okay, not
Right.
getting people to take action on the call, but then
Yeah.
you're telling yourself, well, you need to do things before you take action. You get what I mean? So it's like you're going to have a hard time like really breaking through that
Right.
if you don't do it yourself. You get what I'm saying? So that's
I
a lot of
100%
that.
do.
That's what it comes down to. And I will say, and Nathan, who's in the mastermind, Coach Nathan, can maybe even chime in as well. Like you just taking action on yourself and you just betting on yourself, you do have a different level of conviction about it because you're putting more skin in the game. Now, I'm not saying you
Right.
have to do that in order to really get the most out of what you're doing. You definitely don't. But I'm saying most of the time, like that's kind of what it takes. So it just depends. Like, because if you're telling yourself like you want to do something, but
Yeah.
and you keep telling yourself like, oh, you need to do things before it. Like this is just like with anything, right? Go talk to the girl, lose the weight, whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
that seeps into like it seeps into your subconscious, and you're telling yourself like, okay, for whatever reason, it's okay to wait. When it's not.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Like the best time to go talk to the girl is when she's right there.
Yeah.
Don't fucking stalk her for like a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, so I would say like that's one of the biggest things, man, is if you fix the way that you're talking to yourself, a lot of these issues go away. It's just like you showing up a bit differently. And then you showing up a bit differently, like, yes, you still need to get better at the skill set, but you'll see a jump just from that.
100%. Damn. Because I like about the mastermind, like I want to get into
Mhm.
it, but it's like
Mhm.
I want to be at a place. Like it's literally like I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's like, bro, like I want to be at a place so that like I could get to 20K a month, like with this offer, right? Like I'm closing, it's
Yeah.
like 5K off. Like the thing is, like we're selling like a 5K package. I get 500 per call, and
Yeah.
it's like mathematically, is it like could I get to 20K? Is like the idea, and it's like such.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what to say because like it's I'm literally like I'm selling myself. I've been selling myself, but it's also the
Mhm.
fact that it's like the follow up thing is I don't like literally I don't even know what to say
Yeah.
anymore. It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can sit down and we can go through the math of like, okay, is it possible to get to 20K like on this offer? And I think sitting down and going through the math is super important. Okay. Because if it's not, then you're telling yourself you have to do something different. Okay. Which
right.
is fine. Okay. So it's like maybe to really hit 20 to 30K per month, like we got to be on 2 offers. Cool. Okay. But like we at least have to know that. And so again, without like knowing the ins and outs of these numbers, it's going to be hard for me to say like, okay, is 20K possible like on this offer? Seems like, you're already doing 10K or so like per month or on pace to do
On
so.
pace, right? But we'll
But
see.
it's like, what's your closing percentage right now?
You're asking me right now about like it ranges probably between like 10 and 20%. Like it's pretty low.
Okay. So like, do you feel like it's achievable to close 40%?
I don't want to blame the leads, but like I don't know.
Well, it's like, is there anyone there who is like closing 30-40%?
I'm the sole closer. Like I'm just
Okay,
it's
so you're
just me.
so closer. So on like and let's take a look at these. Like let's say you're closing 15%. Okay, something
Sure.
like that. Like let's say like 30% gets you 20K. All right. Now you are selling what is lead generation, right?
Right.
So you can always like find more people, but that's not the point. Like let's just talk about the leads coming in. Of those, like 85 people, you're not 85% of people you're not selling. Like, are you tracking why they're not moving forward?
No.
Okay. So it's like step number 1 is let's track why they're not moving forward. Because
Right.
if there are a lot of them aren't moving forward because of like partner or think about it or different things along those lines, then it's like, yeah. I mean, I highly, 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 highly doubt that you couldn't close 30%.
You doubt that I can't?
Yeah, like it's very achievable, like on a lead generation offer.
Right.
Right. So it's like if 30% gets you 20K, It sounds like it's doable. Now, again, we got to take a look at the 85% that aren't closing. Like, why aren't these people closing? Like, what could I be doing differently? And part of it is like, yes, tracking the objections. Like, what objection are you actually getting that's preventing these people from moving forward? Like, that's just step number one.
Right.
As far as that too, with all the people that you do have follow-ups with, how many of those people are actually coming through, like showing up to the second meeting? Of those people you are selling, how many people are you getting referrals from? Is there an upsell process in place? So there's, yes, we can sell more people like coming in, but every sale coming in should also get you, especially when we're talking about like businesses, if there's an upsell process, and there should be a referral process. So one sale turns into two sales. Like just from those things alone, let's say you fix some of the follow-ups, you get some referrals, and you upsell people, like you probably add an extra 5K if you put all those systems in place. Again, it depends on
Right.
what you guys have. So there's tons of different ways to look at it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah.
But I would say it sounds like that the first thing we need to just address is just your state and how you're showing up to your calls.
Right.
If you address that, it sounds like you'll just be closing a lot more.
100%. So then kind of referring back to that, I mean, obviously I'm gonna watch back this video, but it's like, okay, being optimistic, right? And in terms of like when I wake up, like what should my mindset be? Because sometimes it's like, man, I don't even want to get out of bed. You know what I mean? That's sometimes how I feel.
Yeah, it's fine, dude. Like, okay, here's the thing, man. Like we can't rely on emotion because it's
Right.
fickle. Okay. So what are the things you can put in place to make sure you just do the things you know you need to do that's going to put you in the best state possible? For example, I use my phone as an alarm. It is outside of my bedroom. So what does that mean? I have to get my ass up out of my bed to turn off the alarm. Oh, now I'm already
Right.
up. Might as well get my coffee because it's right next to my phone where I put the alarm. You see how it just
Right.
like, and the day before, I'm gonna, set out my clothes, and make sure they're right by the treadmill because I normally like walk like in the morning and then like do a little bit of work. So it's like I just have it set up to where if I am going through the motions, that's
Yeah.
fine because like by the end of it, like I'm in where I need to be. So it's like whatever it is, like if you just notice like, okay, when I do these things, I just feel better overall. Right. Then it's like just make it the night before when you have a little bit more energy, not groggy, whatever it is, it's just lined up. So it's just it makes it easy for you to do it.
Right. Okay.
Can I add something here, if I may?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two things kind of came up for me. Like you mentioned, like some of your, you think some people when they show up like within 5 minutes, you kind of know you kind of projecting how the call is going to go, right? Well,
Right.
and as far as like what your expectation is as well out of all these calls, right? Each one of these is a learning opportunity for you as well. So it's like if you're getting these things like Christian was saying, you do some reflecting. What is actually happening here? When you unlock that piece of the puzzle, that same prospect, you're going to be excited about them because you're going to know how exactly how to handle it. You know you can close that
Right.
person. Okay?
Yeah.
So instead of it's not going to happen, it's like even in the future it's going to happen. But what is the key? What is the learning in this? And that kind of curiosity just for yourself about and that can be transferred over to them as well. And in the call, I'm curious to see what's going to happen because I'm learning, I'm growing. And when you knock that piece of the puzzle out, just like the call I shared, right? I took a little key nugget away. It was frustrating as hell. Guess what? The next time it happens, I'm like, please tell me it was more than you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? Like I know what to fucking do now, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I would add is just when it comes to discipline, right? Like you can sometimes there's like the stick and sometimes there's the carrot, right? And it's if we put these like arbitrary parameters on ourselves, like I'm gonna do 1 hour of this, I'm gonna do like we're just kind of creating these things for ourselves, and then it's all of a sudden we fall short of it. It's like you're feeling guilty because you didn't fucking get up at 6 o'clock or whatever it may be, right? And then you're feeling guilty about not having to do a thing on top of not having done it. There's
Yeah.
a guy, Chase Hughes. I'm sure you guys know who he is, but his definition of discipline like was a complete game changer for me. And I looked it up just so I wouldn't butcher it. But he basically says discipline is when you put the needs of your future self ahead of your current desires. when you put the needs of your future self ahead of your current desires.
Right.
So why are you even doing these things? Why even get out of bed in the morning, right? It's not because you set an alarm and said you were going to do it. Like that's just something that you did yesterday and said you were going to do it tomorrow. Like you're doing it because that future version of yourself is going to thank you for doing that. You know, you're
Yeah.
prioritizing your future self. So when it comes to like digging into all this shit, role plays and all this stuff that we're doing, it's like, why are we doing it? Because we want to be that version of ourselves, and we're prioritizing that over whatever our emotional monkey mind wants to do right now. And for me, that
Yeah.
helped a lot. And it was like, cool. There's no pressure. It's like I'm even like, and Chase Hughes said this too, like thanking himself. He's like, Kelly's gonna thank me for this tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like cleaning up my
Yeah.
room, making my bed, or whatever it may be. And it took a lot of pressure off of me and made me realize like I'm just prioritizing that version of myself. And it's like, cool, yeah, no brainer. Like, let's do this shit,
100%. Oh, that's definitely a different perspective on how I kind of see like getting out of bed, right? It's like, oh, now I got to get out of bed to, because usually what I do is like just go straight to work. Like,
Mhm.
it kind of feels like almost like the same stuff. Like either I watch like some of Christian's calls to kind of get a better understanding of like how I probably should be sounding on the call, and then maybe I'll watch for some of mine, and then really just go from there. But it's like just straight to work, So like,
Mhm.
I guess I don't really have a reason, if that makes sense. It's more just like get up so I can prepare, but it's like I don't even know.
Yeah,
Like,
and I would say if you map out a vision of what that actually looks like for you and why it's important for you too. Like that's
cool.
going to be really important. It's like the type of person you need to be to achieve that. That's why in the classroom I have like the dream, mapping
Yeah,
out your dream, and then the person who you need to be to have it, and then versus like the person you are now. Like those are all super important things. And if you're not constantly creating this dream, then like that's when you stay stagnant. And so it's just this constant evolution of creating a dream, doing everything that is reasonable to achieve it, and then creating a new one. So if there needs to be a reason behind the 20K of
right.
why you need to hit this, like what this actually means for you, rather than it just being an arbitrary number.
Yeah,
So and there's tons and tons and tons of things that you can do, and I would say just find things that really work with you and your brain, as far as
yeah,
what gets you into the right state of mind before your calls. Right. Whatever it is. Like for me, maybe go out in the sun a little bit, listen to a little bit of music. Okay, feel good. Cool. So it's like if you just
right,
show up to each call with that, things will go well, then you'll just have a lot better outcomes overall.
right. 100%. Okay. No, I'm definitely gonna start doing that, kind of building out a system
Mhm.
to actually get that done and actually have some goals in place for that. Because I think for the 20K a month, it's more like a status thing. Because I mean, I'm Romanian. I mean, I don't know if you could tell. Probably not. Probably look a little Middle Eastern or something. But um, really, with that, it's like you know, a lot of people like they have basically like
Uh-huh.
maybe like maybe it's just the Eastern European thing, but like they like to flex, right? I didn't grow up in money, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, it was always like, man, like, dude, I'm gonna get that car or I'm gonna do that.
Mhm.
So I feel like at the end of the day, for me, it's more just like a status thing, kind of showing like, not that I'm gonna get a car, but it's like for myself, like, hey, dude, like I'm
Yeah.
doing this now, like 20 grand a month, dude. I'm like, once I start my own business from learning how to close, dude, then I'm gonna be doing
Uh-huh.
like X amount a month there, and then so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So like, what do you kind of have to say about that? Like, almost that being
What
like my goal, if that makes sense.
yeah. What like okay, like the material things, like we all have like okay, like I want these things and things like that. And
Yeah,
again, if you notice right now that you don't always have the drive to do all the things you should do, then we got to talk about is what you have set out in front of you to achieve enough.
mm, I hear you.
Okay. So it's like, and if you feel like, okay, it's not, then we got to talk about, okay, then what's really driving you? And it can be because, like, I know for me, when I hop on a call, again, I don't think about the money. I don't think about, like, how much I'm going to make or anything like that. Like, I genuinely love sales and I know I need to lead people.
Yeah,
because I feel a sense of service if I am on a call with somebody and they are looking to change and I'm not able to help them change.
Yeah.
So it's like it's taking that leadership upon yourself to do the hard things because nobody else can. And that's what has to come across. So when you are like, let's say, for example, you are dealing with a dickhead, like just because
Yeah.
he's a dickhead doesn't mean I give up on him. Because if I don't have this conversation with them, who the fuck else will?
Right.
So it's like, it's also that sense of responsibility of like, there's tons of ways to make money, man. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why
Yeah.
choose sales and help change people's lives? What's that driving factor for you? So when you do show up to the call, like you're genuinely helping people to the best of your ability, your focus is in the right spot. Because if we always just focus on like, you know, us, the external, what we can have, and we're not actually focused on, we're in a very interesting position because we get to talk to people and help them make life changes. Like it's a privileged position, but it's also a very hard position because you have to have hard conversation with people that most people can't have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what for you drives you to do it through sales and finding something in that that makes it to where you don't give up on people 5 minutes in and they sound like somebody else who didn't close. You get what I mean?
No, I get what you mean because I'll tell you right now, like the driver for me,
Mhm.
why I want to do sales is because like I mean at the end of the day I want to be a business owner, right? So like that's it, but that's more of like a selfish thing, kind of like how you were talking about, you know,
Yeah.
like and obviously being like a business owner, you have to obviously be a leader, right?
Mhm.
So I guess that might be part of it as well, but also just like in life in general, like understanding sales, like obviously, I mean, I talk to girls, right? Like
Mhm.
understanding a bit of sales, like it's way easier to actually have a conversation, do all that. But
Mhm.
like again, I feel like that's again like another selfish thing. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
for
Well,
you,
it's
it seems
like,
like it's for the people, if that makes sense. For
yeah,
you,
well, let's talk about it, man. Like, for instance, you're talking to a girl, if you're very confident in yourself, if she's not with
yeah,
you, she's going to be with some dickhead, right?
yeah,
So she might as well be with you. You get what I'm
right,
saying? So it's like,
yeah,
it's selfish in a way, but it's also for their best interest. So if you truly believe what you sell actually benefits people, if they don't buy your shit, guess what? They're going to buy someone else's shit. That's probably not going to be as good.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? So it's like
yeah,
when you're on the call, you do it for them. And yes, you can have these other motives in mind. Like, don't get me wrong, like, everyone has them. But when you're on the call, like you're there for that person. And if
yeah,
they don't do something, if they don't change, if they don't scale their business, they don't get everything that they want. And that's
yeah,
why like sales is it's service, it's leadership. If you're a business owner and you have employees, you have to be of service to those employees to make sure they're getting everything they need first. To
yeah,
your customers, they get everything they need first. So it's like everyone wants to look at the glamorous side of like sales, business, like business ownership and all these things. But like if you're not of service first, then it's like you see cracks. You get what I'm saying? You can tell when someone is just completely self-serving.
right,
So you do it for them, and then everything else just comes as a result.
right.
They say that
I
one
hear you.
the way to achieve your dreams is by helping other people achieve their dreams
Yeah,
first, you know? And that's
100%,
like
dude.
yeah, and even if like, you know, I'm working on an offer right now where I'm pretty deep in just what goes on there, right? And I kind of want to do my own thing as well. But it's like by me doing this,
Yeah,
I'm earning these skills, right? I'm helping someone
yeah,
build out their business, their dream, what they want to do. I'm passionate
Yeah,
about it. I'm also learning all these skills too. And so when you're on a
yeah.
call with somebody, right, you're helping them achieve your dream in turn, or you're helping them
Mhm.
achieve their dream, and in turn, you're getting you're going to be rewarded for that heavily. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And like helping people, like, dude, I get a huge high off of that. Like James, who I just had the video testimonial, he was like making 5K. Now he just made 40. Like he just had a
yeah.
kid. Like that made me fucking teary-eyed, dude. Like he knows his kid never has to worry about money growing up because he
And
has
like
a
I
skill
want to
and
get
he
to
makes
that point.
40K per month.
Like I want to get to that point being genuinely honest with you, right? Like where I
Mhm.
could like I have that backbone where like, dude, I
Mhm.
could just rely on sales. I don't like now I could just focus on what I want to do. If it fails, I could go back to sales. It's
Yeah.
the and I'll make it 40, like
But
50, you know
again,
what I mean?
like watch your language. You want to get there, but do you need to?
It's a great question.
And it's a question like you have to sit with.
I mean, I want to say I need to, but like I did just say I want, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. And again, like the first thing we need to do, again, if we're going to like everything you say is a bit of self hypnosis, right? So it's
Yeah.
like the way you talk externally, the way you talk internally. This is what we teach. Like when we help people, like we shift what they talk about, we shift what they think about. Same thing with ourselves. So it's like, okay, am I serious about getting the goal? If I am serious, is it better for it to be a want or for it to be a need?
A need.
Better to be a need. Okay.
Right.
If it was a need, how would I be acting with it being a need? Would I be waning or do whatever it takes? You get what I'm
I'd be
saying?
desperate. Right.
Exactly. So we got to talk about what are the characteristics of somebody who like genuinely needs to be making more and genuinely needs to be the best at sales. What actions are they taking? How are we showing up short?
Can you tell me right now? I mean, like, just so I could compare to what I'm doing and what you think a person like that. I could give you what I think, right? Like a
Mhm.
person who needs to be there, right?
Mhm.
Number one, like they're training every single day before they hop on the calls. That's what I would imagine, right? Like
Mhm.
getting into that mode, right? Kind of like how we just talked about. From
Mhm.
there, obviously hopping on the calls if they need to get there, they're learning from each and every single call, you know, basically taking advantage of every single opportunity that they have to learn, right? Prioritizing their sleep, um, maybe not wasting time doing other things that isn't helping them get to their goal, right? Um, maybe being around the right people, right? Because like your friends, I mean, that kind of sways you. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, well, I'd say like investing in yourself, going
Yeah,
ahead, like doing trainings, doing everything you need to do. When you are showing up on calls, you don't give up on people, period. End of story. Like no matter what. Like either they buy or they're leaving fucked up. Like
yeah,
there's no other option, bro. You're either going to buy or you're leaving emotionally fucked up. Like this is a conversation we're gonna have. And then like again, if we're like, okay, this is the one thing I need to do, then it's the one thing you do. Like period, end of story. And yes, you can have like downtime at the end of the day. Maybe like I like to watch like a sitcom to turn my brain off for like an hour before bed. It's fine. Okay. But I'm saying like for 10 hours a day, like this is just what you fucking do. Just period. So it's like, are you doing that? And then it just comes down to like for me, it was really making sure, I invested in myself and I was just surrounded by the people who showed me what was possible. Like I didn't realize you could be making 100K per month until I was around a closer who was doing that. Like, okay,
yeah,
it's possible. Let me push. You get what I'm saying? So it's just about getting out of your bubble, school groups like this or really whatever, as long as you're just like around the right people and then you're doing the right things, you're getting the right feedback, pushing for that, but then also just making sure you're showing up on the calls, you're doing it for service and you don't give up on people. That's like the biggest thing. Because it sounds like right now, that's the one part you're probably lacking is in 5 minutes in, this person doesn't line up here, here, and here. I give up. And maybe like in your head, you're not saying like I actually give up and like fucking end the call, but like
it's like I know they might not close, but I'm still gonna try. That's usually what I kind of say.
Yeah, but it just comes down to, man, why are you telling yourself like that probably won't close?
Hmm.
And if you're really honest with yourself, if you tell yourself that, do you actually attack the call the same way versus you think they are going to close?
I probably don't attack it the same way.
So like then it just comes down to those people that for whatever reason you're categorizing them. Do you feel like you're doing them a disservice because you're not showing up as the best version of yourself?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So are you willing to stop doing these people a disservice?
I do want to stop.
Okay. So it's like, do we just have to make the decision? And it's not like, hey, overnight, like, oh, I made a decision. You catch yourself.
Right.
And then it's just, you just got to remind yourself and just keep it top of mind, man. And
Yeah.
then as you improve your skills and as again, like visualization, I'm a very big proponent on it. As you visualize and you actually like close these calls in your mind and then you start closing them in real life, you realize, dude, when I said, oh, I don't think I can close more than 15%, I was like, I'm fucking crazy. You get what I'm saying? It's like you don't know it's possible until you see someone else do it. And then, but now that you've seen like other people, because dude, I've seen people closing like 50, 60, 70% on like lead generation offers. Like that's possible.
Right.
Okay. But it's like, it's not, oh, these people are doing it, therefore I feel bad. No, there's no
Yeah.
judgment. stuff
Yeah.
out there is possible. Therefore, I should work to, again, get closer to where I want to go.
100%.
Makes
Man,
sense?
it's like it's honestly such a deep topic. Like it's like below the surface. You know what I mean? Like you don't really see this, but like they creep behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like talking about it with someone who understands it definitely helps. Like kind of get a grasp around it. Like
Yeah. And a big part of getting better at sales, man, is becoming a better person.
right,
All of our inner dialogues are leading, they're doing two things. They're leading up, they're keeping us in a certain paradigm, and they can also lead you to, the promised land, right? So you need to be aware when you're having these thoughts, right? That you hop on the call and it's like, da, 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 da. Okay, you're aware of that now, right? You're reflecting on that, you're aware of it. You're gonna that time of reflection will become less and less and less to a point where you're able to catch that in real time before you attach yourself to that thought and run with it, right? Because we have thoughts, 100,000 times a second or whatever, right? Whatever the number is, but we don't
right.
attach ourselves to every thought and go down a thought stream with it, right?
Yeah,
That's called staying present. So you might want to develop a strategy for when you catch yourself doing that, whether it's a negative thing that you're saying to yourself or you're putting a judgment on it. Start with some sort of like you're saying a statement to yourself, tag something on to the end of it. Instead of saying, I cannot do this, right? Or, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this yet. Or I'm not doing this, but I'm going to learn how to do it. Like open up the loop so that it allows your mental construct to go somewhere else. And even if you
right.
have a future version of yourself established already, that's going to be
Uh-huh.
your point. You anchor to the future version of yourself, not to what you've experienced on these calls, like not going sour, right? You have the thought creep up. That's your trigger to look forward and anchor to that.
Yeah.
And if you start noticing that inner dialogue, man, that's what's really gonna, it's what's reinforcing all these constructs for us.
No, 100%. Damn. I don't know what to say. I mean, you guys really answered a lot of kind of you handled all my objections, so to speak, I guess. Like
Yeah, man.
I actually
How
really
old are you?
appreciate it. I'm
How
19.
old are you? And you said I saw in the community you said you've recently dropped out
Yeah,
of school.
yeah,
Are you still living with your folks? Are you living on your own
yeah.
or?
I'm with my folks right now. Yeah,
Dude, you're unless they're going to kick you out of your house, what kind of risk do you really have, right?
in my
And
mind,
even
the
if you
risk
have,
is like losing my current closing job. That's the risk. Risk.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Get another one.
so what happens then? What happens then? There's tons of shit out there. Your skill set is going to dictate your value in the marketplace. And because you don't have bills to maybe you do. I'm not saying you don't, but
Yeah,
you
right.
have something back on. Your risk is so low compared to what it's going to be. When you're a father of two, you don't you have a lot of risk, right? It's a lot riskier for me to just say, fuck this, I'm gonna go do something else. Like I don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
But now
Right.
I've been in your shoes before. I wasn't in sales, but I was fucking traveling all over the world, taking the craziest fucking risk you could imagine. You know what I mean? And you have the opportunity to now. Life is not going to get any less risky for you. And especially, I would say, if you're living at your parents' house, dude, you should be fucking doubling down on yourself non fucking stop and try to fail as quick and as fast as you possibly fucking can, dude. Because that's the way to get to where you want to go you're going to fucking fail. It's just a matter of how quickly can you fail and how quickly can you get back up and fail again. That's going to take you where you want to be. You got no risk right now, man. So go all fucking
Yeah.
in, doubling down on yourself. Give Christian the $4,000 a month or whatever it costs and get the fuck in there.
He's selling for you, man. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah. Well, ask the other Nathan. Like half the time, like he shows up to the coaching calls when he's in between high school classes. So
Yeah.
so yeah, man. I would say if it's something you're serious about, we can definitely talk about it. But yeah, I would say just go all in, and whatever all in looks like for you.
Right.
Like legitimately, like when I went all in sales, like what I did, like I was living in Kansas, I hit the fucking cold. Shit you not, I packed up everything in a car. I drove across the country to a studio apartment in Miami Beach, and that's just all I did was sales and chill at the beach. That's all I did for the next 4 years. Because like at that point, there's no turning back.
Right.
Like fucking burn the boats. And it's like in my head, like what's the worst possible scenario that happens? I fall on my face, I fail, and I got to pack up all my shit in my car again and just drive back to my dad's. It's fine. It's really not
Right.
that bad. My dad's a nice guy, right?
Yeah.
So, but for me, like I needed to be like out of it to really, because like my motivating factor was like I did not want to be like anyone that was like average, and like that's what I was surrounded with. So I'm like, fuck it. Let's go
Yeah.
where no matter like if you just look outside, you see Lamborghinis and fucking McLarens, and like that's what got me to always push. But it's like I'm not saying you gotta fucking ship off and come to Miami. I mean, it's nice. It's raining right now, but it's just I would say whatever go all in is for you, and doesn't have to be the mastermind. Whatever it is for you, like just do it and stop telling yourself that things need to happen before you do it.
Right. How much is rent in Miami?
Yeah.
So
I'm kidding.
this apartment is 3,700 a month, and then plus like I'm in a luxury like 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
You don't have to get this, and then like it's probably like all in all probably like 4K a month, and I'm actually paying for rent still in Scottsdale too, so that's another 2,500. Lots of fun. And I'm not saying you have to do it. Like for me, like
No, I get
legitimately,
it. Like,
the first apartment I got was $1,000 a month. Like shit you not across the street from the beach. You can't get that now. But
Yeah.
like where I was coming from in like Kansas, like Wichita, like it's like $400 a month. It's a really good studio. So this is back in fucking 2020. I'm dating myself a little bit. I'm an old ass man. And then yeah, so whatever it is for you, man. So it's like some people they like Miami, they like the hustle and bustle. If there's like a place that you're like, oh, I've always wanted to go there, like fucking look at apartments.
Where are
Just
you
do it.
located now? Where are you at?
I'm in Chicago.
I'm from North Carolina. I moved to Philadelphia when I was 19, 20 years old for a friend of mine. I went through a winter there and I was like, the hell with this. I moved to the Caribbean, dude. I bought a one-way ticket and moved to the Caribbean. And
Right.
that's what I spent 6 years of my life in the Caribbean. And the first I got it. I've gone into like all kinds of different industries, like laterally, just like hopping into stuff, meet people. Okay, I'm gonna go do this. You talking about burning the boats? Like I I decided I want to get into the yachting industry. The
Yeah.
very first time I was ever on a boat in the ocean was crossing the Atlantic. I sailed from the Caribbean, from St. Martin to Spain,
Damn.
and without knowing anybody there, and found my way into the yachting industry. So it's like that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Fuck it, let's
Yeah.
go. And it wasn't easy, but it happened.
Yeah, and why I like me personally, I would be a proponent of like burning the boats is because it gives you no other option.
Right.
Like if you're
And
like,
that's what I'm
okay,
afraid of, man. Like, okay, like, because
okay, like
in my mind,
literally
it's
like
in my mind,
play
it's
this
like,
out
dude,
in your
okay,
mind.
if I can make at least a minimum of 10 grand a month, dude, I don't want my freaking parents to hear because they would hate it if I moved out. But like, if I just
Mhm.
like made that much and I moved out,
Mhm.
like I feel like I'd be like comfortable, so to speak, because at least I'm doing that. You know, like I have the skill to be able to move out. Do you get what I mean? It
Yeah, so like here's the thing, man, right? Like how much does fucking rent cost? It's like 2K a month for like a nice place in a nice area. If you're talking about like a studio or 1 bedroom, whatever it is, we're talking like 2,000 a month.
right.
So, and I get you'd be more comfortable if you're like making more, but it just comes down to if you can swing it, like I would just fucking go for it. And like, here's the absolute worst thing that happens. You fall in place, you got to move back, you start right back to where you were.
But like
Worst
I don't
case
want to do
scenario,
that.
yeah, I understand. Then don't. Like, don't fail.
But even
You
if
know
you
what I mean?
even if you did fail, which I've done it before, man. I've moved out. I've moved to countries and come back with my tail between my legs sometimes. Like, but even when I did that, goddamn, it was fun, and I had so many stories to tell, you know.
Yeah.
Go, dude. You have no risk right now, dude. You have zero risk at all.
I'm not saying like, hey man, you got to move out tomorrow. Like, hey, maybe a month,
Right.
2 months, or at least like have that in your vision. Like for me, as soon like I graduated college, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have. Right. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like saying, but like as soon as I graduated college, like, and then I got a sales shop, I hadn't even gotten the first paycheck yet. I literally packed all my shit and I just left. Right.
Were
Just
you even
packed it
good at
into the
sales?
car.
Wait. When you did that though, like, were you any good at sales? Like, I remember, like, I heard like the story about it. You made like 10 grand a month or something like that. Is that not the case?
So when I first got into sales, I got like an SDR job. So I got a setting
Right.
position. So it's like the
Yeah.
setting position, like I didn't like I was naturally good at like communicating with people. So I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna do well, but I didn't know yet. I just said
Yeah.
fuck it and went. Right. And then
Yeah.
I ended up because I work for a tech company, like a
Yeah.
SaaS company, and like how it's like, hey, like 6 months to 12 months, if you're SDR, they move you into like actually like closing deals. I had broke the company record like month 2, and then they just moved me right up. So it's like, yeah, I did well like very early on, but I didn't know that before I left, right? Like
Right.
I just, there was some base where it's like $13 an hour towards like I could barely skirt by if I made no other money doing it. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then like that's what I did. And then, I got in and I was doing closing, and then, I just had like up and downs, like, some months I hit like 10, 15, other months I hit like 5, and I was like up and down. And, did at this point probably paid well over 50K in like sales training and different things like that, and for like one-on-ones with different people, whatever it is.
Right.
But
Right.
that was like my journey. So like my first year in sales, I think I made like 150, give or take.
Uh-huh.
But everyone's a little like I was more like corporate, technically corporate sales at first, where I was selling like a CRM Thrive, a CRM to what was it, like blue collar guys. Lots of
Uh,
fun.
right.
Selling like computer software to people who don't even know how to fucking use a computer. Made it work, right? We came the top
Yeah.
guy
I mean,
there, and then
clearly,
it's
right? I
fucking
mean,
bowed out. Said fuck y'all guys. But then like, okay, this is what happened. Like I bowed out. Like I was making at that point when I was leaving, I was making like 20K a month, and I was doing like this is my first year in sales. Like, dude, I'm on fucking top of the world. Then I learned about this. Like, dude, you could sell like coaching and you can make even more commission only. Yes, higher risk. But I'm like,
right.
okay, so I'm gonna jump into this offer at Outreach, which is it's a very like they're still around, but like at the
Right.
time they're like a top like Inc. 5000, they're like a top 30 company, like growing companies in the US. And they're like doing a new offer. And I had, the sales manager really liked me. He's like, hey, you're going to like head this new offer. Dude, offer fell on its fucking face. Like, and then I was out of a job. What happened is like I was closing like 15, 20%. Because they had like no marketing, no nothing behind it.
Right.
And the
Right.
closer who was on the like, because they do ads, like teach you how to do ads. And then they were like,
Yeah.
okay, now we're going to teach you how to do organic. So I was just on
Okay.
the organic, and they took some guy who was closing 30 to 40% on the ads offer. He goes on the organic offer, dude, close 6%. Wild.
Yeah.
Like, cause like it wasn't, and like I didn't know as much as I do now, obviously, because I've never been in that world before. Like now I know again, how do you like, even if I was put in that position now, like, dude, I'll fucking crush it. Cause like you can do things outside of it, get people indoctrinated, all those different things. But I knew none of
Right.
that
Right.
stuff
Right.
then. So it's like I fell on my face, and they just got rid of the offer. They kept the guy who was fucking shitting the bed, but they got rid of me because I was only on the organic offer. And like I didn't have an offer for like probably like 2 weeks, right? But I need to pay fucking rent, dude. So I hopped
Right.
on this real estate offer that was really, really shitty, but I needed it. And like I was an SDR. Like I hop on SDR because they did like a base, so I could just pay rent. And then I did that for a month, and then I found another offer through it was Stock Navigators, and then that's when I, first time in the high ticket space, getting like back to like the 20K plus. And then I hopped on like 7th level, and then my income just grew and grew and grew. Right. But it's like, dude, I fucking fell on my face 100%. I remember I was in Miami, didn't have an offer. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay fucking rent. But because of that urgency, I'm like, I need to figure some shit out. So it's like for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, I was like reaching out to every fucking company I could find. And eventually I found one. And then, just keep going. And it's like that resilience of, I know for me, if like, hey, any of this money stops of me helping people, whatever it is, like I know I have the resilience no matter what. I can find.
Wait 1 second. I got to follow up. He just hopped on the call. I'm going to talk to him. I don't know if you guys are still going to be talking. I really want to talk about this. Like I really do, but I also want to close the deal. So like,
yeah, bro.
Christian,
message me on school. Cause I got to go too. I got to go to the chiropractor.
I really appreciate it. Like seriously, I really do. Like, thank you so much. KS, I don't know your name.
Kelly,
right?
Kelly. Yeah, Kelly.
Kelly, okay. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Like honestly, post this for like a mental thing in the school or so. I don't mind at all. Dude, really just thank you. I seriously appreciate seriously so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's get some role plays in, Nathan.